Breath of the Wild came out in March of 2017, one of the only good things to happen to me that year. Ever since it came out, it has been praised by veteran Zelda fans and newcomers. But I, for one, share an unpopular opinion. It's not as good as a game as everybody thinks it is. Now, before we begin, I want to say I do love this game a lot, and I've spent many hours on it. But I just think that a lot of games are better, and if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. Opinions are subjective. And again, this game isn't bad, it's just not as good as everybody says it is. And please, also remember, when game journalists says a game is good, never trust them. Never trust them. They're wrong, and can't say bad things if they want to keep their job. Now, in this video, I'll be going through all the amazing things people have to say about this game, and explaining why it's overrated. Most people who praise this game on a godlike level are most likely experiencing the first Zelda game, so just so you know. The following reviews you are going to hear is from Metacritic. Where it takes many mechanics from others in the industry and improves upon them. Where it introduces new ones, you slap your forehead in amazement that it hasn't been done before. Breath of the Wild is development done right, and damn near the best game you'll play all year. I'm going to assume that they're most likely talking about combat when they say new mechanics. And it's mostly a mix-up of combat from other Zelda games with a few non-Zelda games added in as well. As for the actual new features like Flurry Rush, well, I'll have this clip from Scott Falco's review of this game explain it for me.
One of the big things is the Flurry Rush, which I'm sorry, it's just dumb. Like, maybe if there was no slow-mo, but even then it just looks awkward. Link just magnets himself towards the target and starts this weird attack animation. Counters and parries are fine, but you don't need to have these, "Oh, I can't believe I got countered." Huh? Oh, right, yeah. Ah!
Mechanics like Flurry Rush just make you look. It doesn't actually do much. And a much better mechanic of when you perfectly dodge in this game is Bayonetta. There's also weapon durability. Very few games actually pull this off. Breath of the Wild doesn't. Weapons just break too damn quickly. So often that when you get good weapons, you don't want to fight anything and risk breaking your cool weapons. It's honestly frustrating. Like, seriously. A great way to fix this was to be if you don't block attack or parry something successfully, then your shield durability and your sword durability will go down. And for bow durability, just increase how durable it is to balance it out. There's also the problem of healing in the middle of a fight. Combat isn't challenging when you can just pause the game and heal. You should be able to make it so that you aren't able to pause during combat, because right now, that's just so lame to do. And also, this shit right here. I guess, in the end, it's not just that Breath of the Wild signals that Zelda has finally evolved and moved beyond structure. It's leaned on for so long. It's that the evolution in question has required Nintendo to finally treat its audience like intelligent people. The newfound respect has led to something big and different and exciting, but in an open world full of big changes. Breath of the Wild will also always feels like a Zelda game, and establishes itself as the first current vital-feeling Zelda game in almost 20 years. Well, this open world you love so much sucks, okay? If a game has an open world, you need two things in it. 1. Stunning visuals. 2. Things to do that make you feel satisfied. Although this game's world looks good, there's not much to do in it. Exploring in this game will get you a shrine or a Korok seed. There are only like around 7 puzzles you'll have to do to get a Korok seed, so once you've seen them all, you can do them all. All 900 of them. And although some shrines are actual unique puzzles, most of them are just fight this or freebie because you did another puzzle to get there. Imagine how cool it would be if you went through a kind of small maze to get to a shrine, and then there was a really bigger one with puzzles and enemies lurking around in the shrine. Sure, it may have seemed like you've been scammed, so just add more rewards. The actual dungeons don't have many puzzles or enemies, so make up for it. Also, all of the memories and other cutscenes make it so that you want to play in during that time and not a wasteland where everyone's dead. I just want to hang out with my friends, okay? Speaking of dungeons, why? There are only 4 in this game, and all of them suck. Now, Majora's Mask had 4 dungeons in it, but that game is freaking awesome because the region that you explore before the dungeon leads up to it and sort of like prepares you for all the puzzles that will be in the dungeon. So, like, why? They suck because they're all the same mostly. All of them have the same lead up except for the actual cool stealth mission for Death Mountain. They all have the same interior design, types of puzzles and bosses, and I get more excited over a Hinox or Stone Talus than the freaking 4 horsemen of the apocalypse over here. This actually makes me disappointed. Also, the final boss. I'm going back to my point of just looking cool over feeling cool. If you die to him, you're most likely doing that on purpose because it's near damn impossible to die to him, like a turn-based JRPG final boss. Also, going back to the setup, which I would like to elaborate on more, I'm Village Chief. I've heard of you, Link. If you want to help our village being affected by the Divine Beast, you have to get this item that was stolen from us. Go fight them. Now, you and my son will weaken the beast and you'll board it. Sound familiar? It's what you experience in Zora's Domain, Gerudo Village, Rito Village. Like, why? Also, screw Rain! Making it harder to climb in Rain is reasonable and realistic. Making it impossible is just so stupid. Also, desert travel is so stupid. Finding a seal in Gerudo takes as much time as it would just running on foot, which makes the stamina meter so stupid. It worked in Skyward Sword because the environments were small with stamina fruits nearby all the time. It's asinine. Here's a review I actually agree with. A new direction for the franchise that is as brilliantly successful as it is bold. Breath of the Wild raises the bar for a series that has already set a phenomenally high standard. I would like to actually give this game props for changing up a lot of things about Zelda. One thing it doesn't change up, though, is the story. Oh! He just did a nice transition! This is the most generic story. Not even for just Zelda. This is just extremely generic in general. Girl is captured because Big Bad, and you have to use the combined power of friendship and 4 collectibles to stop them. It's not good. So many Zelda games have better stories like this. Games like Minish Cap, Majora's Mask, Ocarina, Link's Awakening, Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, and 90% of Twilight Princess. Yeah, I can't really defend that. Now listen, I know it's supposed to be inspired by the first game, but you shouldn't make it this bare bones. Like, come on. Something else I'd like to talk about are the enemies, because they suffer the same problems the bosses do. On the Zelda Wiki, it shows that Breath of the Wild has 4 enemy types, with basically upgraded versions of them. Now, let's look at the original Legend of Zelda from 1986. It has 30 enemy types, not including upgraded versions. The original game has more enemy variety than Breath of the Wild. That is not okay. Also, considering most of these enemies are excluded to dungeons, shrines, and some very specific areas in the overworld, when you're exploring, you just find Bookles, 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 Mooblers, Bookles, Bookles, Moozlers, and Lizard. The only fun enemies to fight are the Lynels because they put up somewhat of a challenge, but even then, once you've beat enough of them, they get too boring. It's just so stupid and dumb. And come on, Nintendo. No Dark Nuts or Iron Knuckles? Like, come on. That would have been awesome. Alright, to sort of be nicer to the game, I'm going to go over stuff I like or that I'm in between on real quickly. I really enjoyed the characters. Well, most of them anyway. They're super fun, and of course the return of Beetle is always a treat. But, like, no Tingle. You know what? I trade for trading. We're trading good characters, okay? The horseback and paraglider are just so fun to use. There are so many countless hours I've spent just paragliding or riding around on my horse Goosenip just for the hell of it. The storytelling through the world is fun, so at least they can do that right. You can see everything in ruins and monsters terrorizing people and battlefields with the remains of guardians. That's actually pretty cool. But it still makes me want to experience what was happening back there. Now, here's something I'm very in between on. The music. When it's present, it's good. When it's not there, it sucks. I get that they wish to make it more immersive, but I don't like how 85% of the game's OST is just tiny piano jingles. The most epic sounding song in the soundtrack is a remix of an already existing song. The coolest game in the song, though, is original, and the town themes are pretty catchy. Real quickly, I just say that I didn't like the DLC. The Master Trials are cool, but really hard. The costumes are like meh, and the Champion's Ballad is ass. I'll link a video that explains that better. Overall, Breath of the Wild is a good game, but like every game, it has flaws. Although it's a good game, just so many games are better than this one, and it's not as good as everyone says. Everybody keeps on praising it like it's the Messiah. And if you don't agree with me, that's perfectly alright. Like I said at the beginning of the video, opinions are subjective. But seriously, if you think it's a bad thing that they didn't add my Tingle, you will be destroyed.